All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our continuing education, lifelong learning, sponsored to you by Illinois Soccer Referee Committee. If you're able to hear me, can you please raise your hand, your virtual hand, click on there. We just want to test our environment. There we go. Many of you are doing that right now. And if you click again, you should be able to lower down your hand. Absolutely right. Excellent. Okay. And then remember that you have a Q&A, so feature Q&A along the way. If you have a question on the topic, please go ahead and type it in. I will check periodically to see if we can answer something right there and then. Also, remember, we will have a short time at the end, Q&A, to be able to discuss a little bit more the topic. And lastly, some of you will join me as panelists along the presentation. And so you get to speak about the topic itself. Maybe if you typed in a question, ask a questions as well. Okay, so we're gonna get started very soon. Just waiting for a few others to join in. And then also again for the rest of you to set up your audio, set up your camera so that you can see me, you can see my PowerPoint. If I'm sharing the PowerPoint and you can see the slide, okay, then again, go ahead and raise your hand, your virtual hand. Uh, oh, okay, fantastic. It looks like I am doing that correctly. Technology sometimes. Very good. Thank you all. And you may lower your hands down once again. So I appreciate the feedback. And once again, quick reminder, this is another one of the CEL webinar series, continuing education, lifelong learning, brought to you by Illinois Soccer Referee Committee. And again, this includes webinar, sometimes classroom, sometimes on-field education. Not only referees, but referee mentors, referee coaches are more than welcome. And they also get their own training too. But anyone else, coaches, spectators, family members, etc., are welcome to these webinars as we have a lot of space. And so let's get started. Today's topic is loss of the game changes and clarifications for 2026, 2027, which officially took place starting July 1st, earlier this month. But there are occasional exceptions. If a competition has started before July 1st, then they can remain with the previous laws up until the end of their season. But for the most part, youth, amateur, and beyond are now playing under these new changes and clarifications. There are a ton of these. And as you know, many of you know, these are from IFAB, Lost of the Game. So you're more than welcome after today, if you haven't already, to check out their website with as much details for each of the changes and clarifications. There are quite a few. Some of them are minor, some of them are extension, some of them are clarification. And I also strongly recommend, and this presentation is based on the 2026-27 Loss of the Game update by US Soccer, which is an annual update focusing on changes and clarification. And you can take this course or this module already in the Learning Center or through US Soccer. If you're in Illinois, of course, the Learning Center, you go to courses, you go to supplemental courses, and you can take that whole course about 30 minutes. It includes the topics that we're going to talk about, plus more. And you don't have to pay for it. If you complete it, when you do your renewal for your license, it'll give you a credit already, so you don't have to do it again multiple times if you're going to re-certify as a referee later in the year. Or if you have two licenses, like a referee and a referee mentor, you do this loss of the game update once, and it gives you credit for any of the license associated with US Soccer. One last comment on here. We are going to focus on the IFAB loss of the game. So this does not, go in conjunction with high school or college. Although in recent years, many of the changes or many of the adoptions by high school and college are primarily very good in line with IFAB. Sometimes it's a year or two delayed. But so anyway, we're focusing on IFAB and US soccer for these changes. Here's a list. So as you can see, there's many laws and portions of those laws that have been changed. Today we're going to focus on part of Law 3, part of Law 5, but there are more, as you can see on this slide. And that's not all. There's also changes and clarification on these laws and protocols. And for today, we're going to focus on that one of Law 15 and Law 16. And so again, we will not cover everything in this year's law changes and clarification, but we're going to focus on what is applicable for the youth and adult amateur environment. And even then, we won't be able to finish everything except the ones that were highlighted in red. Okay? All right, and so our outline for today, this is the agenda, if you will. We're going to focus the next 30 minutes or so on maintaining match tempo. This is how US Soccer sort of summarizes this concept about preventing the delay or addressing delaying the restarts, either in throw-ins, in goal kicks, which is pretty common, and then also in some cases in substitutions, right? So we will find out after today what the protocol is, what the circumstances are, what is the outcome. Some of you may use the word punishment if they don't align with this and they are delaying excessively. And then we're also going to talk about what if there's an extended injury, and then what do we do there? What's the protocol to, minimize that delay? So again, we're going to focus on these, as we mentioned, Law 3, Law 5, Law 15, Law 16, and portions of these law changes and clarifications. As you know, we only have a limited time, so we'll dive into these concepts here. Okay, first one in. The slow restarts there. This is the one of the three concepts under match tempo, right? Controlling the match tempo. Slow restarts includes throw-ins and goal kicks. First, for throw-ins, and you may have seen this already implemented last summer in the Club World Cup or this summer in the World Cup. And so there is 5-second countdown for throw-ins. So we're gonna have to start applying the concept about counting down. You may remember from the goalkeepers, it's 8 seconds, but the first three, you don't do a visual countdown until the last five. So similarly for throw-ins, as you see on this slide, now we have to apply that visible 5-second countdown. Okay, so make it visible, make it public. Somewhere along here, it might say that the verbal is optional, but I strongly recommend and advise you to make it as verbal as you can to avoid surprises, avoid, I got you kind of thing. No, the point is not that, but the point is to reduce the delays, use some tools to manage when players or teams are trying to delay because they're up 1-0 or whatever the case, and the time is slowing, it's getting to end. So remember, visual, okay? And then what happens if they don't throw it in within that amount of time? Then the throw in is awarded for the opponents. So that's rather clear. That's rather simple. Okay. When do you start the countdown? We were gonna see an example is best when again they have the ball, they've already retrieved it. Sometimes it goes a little bit outside the touch line and they still have to go get it. But now they have it. I think it's better that it's clear that when they have it, it's available for them to be ready for the throw-in rather than they still have to go get it, past the benches, past the spectators, whatever the case. So, although it can start before, manage in such a way that, again, is going to be fair, clear, without controversy, without any necessarily added stress for anyone, okay? And if this persists and they're not, changing behavior or they're still trying to delay, as a last resource, then we utilize the cards, right? A caution may be issued, if it's continued delayed. But again, this is the last resort. Um, and so let's go ahead. Let me see what we have next. Yeah, let's watch this example and I'll sort of, well, let's have a look first. And this is a little bit of a zoom version. The video from FIFA, it has a wider, but I wanted to zoom in so that you can have a better view. And now, if I may have those of you interested in joining the conversation, please raise your hand. I might get a couple of you to discuss real quick this clip. And I hope that this promoting you to panelists doesn't take too long. So I have one hand raised, and Stacy, you're with us. Please try to unmute yourself. And I would like somebody else to join you. If you can raise your hand if you want to join Stacy on our brief discussion on this example and our first of a few match tempo controlling changes, clarification strategies. Does
Pedro, can you hear
anyone
me?
want to raise their hand here?
Can you hear me, Pedro?
Yes,
Okay, that's Stacy.
Stacy.
Yep.
Okay, it looks like you're gonna go solo for now.
Okay, that's fine.
Let me see. Hold on, let me see because I'm having a little bit of an issue with my audio. Let me see if this makes any change real quick. Stacy, say that again.
Hey,
Okay.
how can I help?
All right. Let me see. I have Mason. If I mispronounce your name, I'm so sorry. Let's see if he can join in. So Stacy, tell us a little bit based on what we saw the slide before and what you see here. What is it that you are looking at here from your perspective? I'm going to play it again. Go ahead, Stacy.
You bet. The part I love best about is he proactively said, go here, right? So he didn't just wait for it to become a problem. He said, go there, and then he went right to the hand. Now you got 5 seconds, right? He didn't
Perfect.
start
Perfect. I'll
counting right
pause you
away.
there
He
for a
said,
moment. This is great. We're looking at the same thing, and I know you have more. Please be ready for more. Mason, am I pronouncing that correctly? Go ahead and unmute yourself. You were promoted to panelist.
Hello.
Yes. Tell me your name again.
Mazen or Mazen,
Mazen, I'm
that's
so
fine too.
sorry.
No, that's fine. That's
Mazen.
fine. Thank you.
So welcome, Mazen. To add on to what Stacy shared with us, what else can you say after what he mentioned?
It was a successful situation for the ref. They successfully continued the game, and the tempo of the game didn't stop as they realized the ref was letting them know 5 seconds and pointing to the hand.
Okay, fantastic. Stacy, back to you. Any additional comments here?
he made it positive. He didn't make it negative. There was no anger there. He was simply saying, hey, you guys are doing great. Got 5 seconds. So the attitude was good. Soccer. It was pro soccer. It was just a positive.
Fantastic. Mazen, what else? Anything else?
Um, uh, um, I would say, I mean, I don't know if I had really much else to add. I mean, it was a successful situation, and the game continued on, and
All right.
they realized
Great,
that the
great.
yep, yep.
Thank you both. And yes, as you mentioned, the only thing I would add is once they're ready, then there's a whistle which you cannot hear. And then after that whistle that we're supposed to do, then with the hand visual, and typically, you will get something like this. Okay, I'm not saying it's going to be the case every single time, but as we may have to, remind people or really explain to players and coaches for the first time if they haven't gotten this notification from anyone else. But yes, let's review everybody now. Once again, Stacy and Mazin, thank you so much. But here's the practical application, and some of it Stacy and Mazin observed it, and the rest of you hopefully heard it and saw it multiple times in the video. But as a review, and once again, you'll see this when you take that course, supplemental course in the Learning Center, this kind of like checklist. You can also take a picture now or a screenshot, but yeah, once they're ready, the ball is available, whether on the ground, very close to them, or they're leaning to get it, right? The whistle comes on, and then the signal, whistle and signal to go ahead, right? And then very soon after, you start the countdown with your hand up in the air. I'm not raising it up as high because I want you to see my hand, but imagine my hand way up here. or almost like an indirect free kick, but with my hand, with my fingers extended for the visual and verbal countdown. Okay. Yeah, here's where it says optional. I would recommend you do it verbal as well because then you're utilizing communication, verbal as well as visual. I think it's both are complementary and it'll probably increase the rate of success if you do that. All right. If you have a player who is at one and then zero, and at that moment they throw it, let it go. Continue to play because you accomplished the goal. The goal was for them to not delay, and they were able to do it within 5 seconds, or as you were saying, one and zero. So it's okay. Let it go, right? If they're still thinking or looking around and you said one from going to five to one and then zero, and it's clearly they're not doing it, okay, now we award it to the opposite team in the opposite direction. And we restart in that way. Again, this last one I say is the last resort when something very, very, very clear, excessive delayed, multiple times, right? Don't try to utilize the caution right away because we could potentially end up with more cautions than we actually want. Okay, but in the end, if it happens, then you may utilize as well this caution. Okay. Oh, let's see. Ben Mueller has his hand raised. I'm gonna see if I can bring him on. And hopefully it's something where we are at this time. If it was something from before, it has been answered, it's okay. We can move on, no worries. Before moving to the next item, Ben, did you have something to add?
Yeah, two things. Can you hear me, Pedro?
Yes.
So first thing is from a mechanical point of view, I think one of the things we're going to have to be aware of, especially as we start doing this, is when we blow the whistle and put our arm up, a lot of the younger players are going to think we're stopping play. Something just to be aware of is they might look at you like, okay, the ref blew his whistle, he put his arm up. Once they get the hang of it, I think it'll be fine. But in those first couple of matches, just something to be aware of. On letting the players know we're not stopping play. You've got 5 seconds to throw it in, essentially.
Yeah.
But because every time we blow our whistle in a game and we put our arm up, players are thinking substitution, right?
Very good. That's a very good point for everybody. Thank you, Ben, for sharing, because that could potentially happen. And again, as you're and Stacy probably mentioned this a little bit, but as you're indicating the location, as we saw in the video, you're reminding them, right? Once I blow the whistle, I will start the countdown, and that's why I say it's very important the verbal communication because you're giving information, especially early on because it's a new way to do this. So then absolutely do that as much as possible. And then when you count down, you point five, and then you kind of bring the hand down, and then you raise it up again with four, and then you bring it down, and then you're saying three, and then as you bring it down, throw it in if needed. But yeah, it's a good point to keep in mind that if the players are confused early on or whatever the case, then maybe you even stop and say, okay, let me explain to you quickly. This is a countdown. You only have 5 seconds, and then you start again if you need to. In some cases, especially the lower age groups, perhaps. That's a very good point. Appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you very much. Okay, fair
And
enough.
then the second question for you, quick, is if we're switching the throw in, why would we ever need to caution? Because they're just going to lose the throw in, right?
Yeah, exactly right. So
I'm just
you're
wondering when.
saying keep the caution in your pocket. That's what you're saying?
Well, I'm just wondering why we would want to consider a caution. Is it like if it's like the third or fourth time?
There you go. There you go. Only if it's excessive, they're still not doing it, and you repeat it again and all of that. Or maybe they're doing multiple times because again, they're winning 1-0. Please don't give a caution if it's 10-0, right? And you think that they're delaying. even though they may be, but you just give it the throw in to the other team because to your point, once you give it to the other team, they're gonna throw it pretty, fairly quickly because they want the game to continue. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay. Very good, everyone. Thank you for that participation, all of you. I think we may have a few more people raising their hand overall as we move on. Let's keep going. So, again, still with slow restarts. And here's the key, right? If the throw-in has to be slow before, and now we're going to look at a slow restart for a goal kick. If a goal kick is, fairly reasonably, paced, we may not even need to get involved at all. It's only in these slow circumstances, not when people are tied, somebody's winning towards the end of the half. So you also have to consider those concepts, okay? But have a look. So again, 5 second countdown as before. All right. So again, the similar as before, the hand raise. Okay. So it's visible, raise and lower, raise and lower. Um, and then of course, if they don't take the goal kick in this case, then a corner kick is awarded for the opposing team. And again, that helps us save cards, right? For delaying a restart. And then a corner kick, it makes more, is more impactful than even a card sometimes. Um, because now they have a free kick. The other opposing team is a free kick near the penalty area, and goals are scored out of free kicks. Um, and so that's what they're saying here, stronger disincentive, than a throw in. And then again, I want to emphasize again, and it's written there here, U.S. Soccer, caution only for continued delay. Uh, maybe an option, but hopefully not. All right. So I see Kevin, you raised your hand, and we're now in goal kick. So if it's about goal kick, you're more than welcome to comment. And my apologies on the background. You may hear one of our pets saying hello. But if not, let's look at the next example on the video. And Kevin, you're gonna kick us off. Let's watch this right here. All right, Kevin, can you unmute yourself?
I did. He had
Beautiful.
time to take some water, which delayed the restart, right? So
Yeah.
managing the part from getting that ball, kind of like with the throw in, it's managing retrieving the ball to get into that point. But here it's kind of the same thing. So once he had possession of the ball, no different than the keeper that goes down on the ball because the shot on goal, nobody around, everybody clears away, whatever, and they lay on that ground. A lot of them think that that count doesn't begin, right? So the same way here with a dead ball, you got the same thing going on. So we have to do our job to let them know what's going on. You see the center rush in, he takes control of this right away. So he's telling everybody on the pitch that we're not doing this today.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. And then we have Ryan. Ryan, what else? What else do you see or anything to add for this particular example?
I would say the only thing that kind of I would say to add on would be the idea that you don't want to necessarily start the count. Like, let's say that ball went over the fence. You want to start the count when they have the opportunity to like actually have the ball and then be able to restart play. So like
Yep.
once he kind of walks past the ball, he already has had the opportunity. So like then would be a good time to implement it. But like let's say the ball went over the fence or was kicked wide, then we might not want to penalize for that.
Exactly right. Thank you for that. Very good. And I think we have someone else coming on board, uh, perhaps to make more comments on the same. But while that's happening, in case we don't get it, and that's you, Brian, if you're able to come in. But if not, that's okay. You'll eventually come in, I think. The technology sometimes, right? We have to adjust. But yeah, very good observations. And what I would ask the panelists, does this look like somebody delaying? And if so, what tells you, and I think some of you already mentioned it, but really quick, what does it make it, what makes it a delay? Let's say. All right. Stacy, what do you think? Give me one thing.
The kicking of the fence, the walking in, deliberately ignoring the ball and turning around to get the
Kicking of the
water.
fence,
Yeah,
right? And the
those
ball's
are
right
both
next to
very
him.
derogatory.
Yeah. So again, those are
Clearly,
clear clues.
yeah.
Very good. Mazin, what do you think? What else? Anything else, or is that it?
It looks like he was kind of like taking some time to maybe fix his socks. I'm not sure if that has something to do with it as well, possibly, or maybe that's just a regular thing.
Yeah. Either that or he takes some water, I think
Mhm.
like Kevin mentioned. And like Kevin also took some water before responding to us, I think. But yeah, so look at the context of the situation, right? Don't just assume that because, the ball is further away and they're walking to the ball, that that's a delay, right? No. The ball's right next to them, but they're working in a different direction. Um, they're getting some water. By the way, you don't see this because I zoomed in, but this is like the 90 plus, right? So the game's already finished almost, and this is added time. So again, another good indication that there may be delay in these situations. Okay? So I'm not sure if because I may have reached a maximum of panelists. Some of you are not coming in. But if you have a question, please go ahead and type it in the Q&A. But great observations in terms of this. And in the past, as you saw this in example, the referee would come and issue a yellow card, right, for delaying the restart, for time wasting, unsporting behavior, etc. And teams were okay with that because they were sort of like using the clock, if you will. But now they're going to be less motivated, right? Or more incentivized to restart quicker because now a corner kick will be awarded. Okay. So hopefully that's going to help us in the youth environment, adult environment. And when I say youth, I don't think we're going to have an issue with the you littles, I say sometimes, but the younger of the youngest, right? We're talking probably U12 maybe and above, and certainly adult, but not in every environment, not in every game. Again, don't think that this is going to happen already every single time. And it may happen, you know, if the game again is going to be close to the playoffs, etc. So anyway, keep all those things in mind. All right. Okay, let's see how we do in terms of process and procedure. Those of you panelists, what do you think is the first thing to do in this case to address the uh, the delay? Any takers? Yeah, Stacy, go ahead. First
So
step.
I have to ask, we may be not hearing or seeing what the referee did. So I'm going to assume he did the counting part because we're not seeing that. Is that you
No,
with
no,
me, Pedro?
no. Yeah, you're right. And my question is, you're the referee. What are you gonna do? You're not gonna give a card like this referee did
Right.
because
Go
that
good.
was
So
before July 1st. So I'm asking now, first
yeah.
step, what do you do? What do you think, Stacy? And then we'll ask someone else.
Well, let's do the super fun thing. As soon as he kicks the fence, you do the friendly, come on, keep, let's go, right? Which is just a classic game management. And then when he turns around,
Perfect,
walks to the
perfect. We'll stop
bottle,
you there. Thank you,
good.
thank you, thank you. Keep that in mind. Ryan, what do you do after that?
Give the whistle, like, quick whistle blast, and then start the
Wait,
count.
wait, wait. Quick, get the
Oh,
whistle. Okay. To indicate restart. Kevin, what do you do next?
You start to count.
Start the count. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there's one more. Zoom user. Who are you, Zoom user?
Oh, sorry, Mary Beth Struck.
Mary.
I
Mary
would
Beth?
say that you should verbally tell the patient or tell the tell the goalkeeper, give him an indication to get the ball moving and get the play restarted
Excellent.
right before the count starts.
Excellent. What Stacy said, and do it again before the count. Love it. Wonderful. Let's see how we do or how we did as our panelists here. And here you have it. So again, same protocol as with the throwing countdown. So we did great. Okay. And then countdown, even if the ball's not there. But again, make sure the ball is close by or ready or already retrieved, right? They're not running behind the cars in the parking lot or whatever to get it, and you're already counting. Please don't do that, okay? Um, and then, of course, is the goalkeeper deliberately placing the ball slowly? And again, this is where, like Mary Beth, if I'm not mistaken, mentions again, and Stacy also mentioned verbal communication, and we do it in a calm, collected, respectful way. We're not trying to, add more things, more intensity or anything to the situation, but we're just, doing our job, reminding people. And again, it's a new thing for everybody, so be patient as well. Okay. But if you do the countdown, like Kevin starts the countdown, right? After all these steps, and we go to one, and as we're doing zero, then the kick happens, we let it go. So we're even giving them that extra second or so. But really, why we're doing that is because we've accomplished our mission, right? Which is
Keep
not
the game
delay too
moving.
much, not be too much time wasting. So we're good. The ball is in play already. We're not gonna make a big deal. It's okay. If they take more time, they're not kicking it, they're just placing it. Okay, we do corner kick, right? And then let's pay attention to where the ball is, because when we do corner kick or even a throw in the last example, maybe players are going to want to take the ball away. Things can get a little heated, perhaps, but don't be surprised. Get in there if needed. Blow the whistle. Hey, leave the ball. Whatever you need to do. In some cases, I don't think it's going to happen every time, but be mindful of that. And then again, last resort. If this is not working or is being continually done, give your warning and then use your cards as needed. Okay, so I think we did very good as a group. Well done. Let's see what we have next. Okay, so that was the slow restarts, but now let's shift to our second point of the day, which is the lane substitutions. That doesn't happen in the youth game, right, at all, or in the adult game. This is only in the professionals, not in our environment, is it? If you say yes, this happens in the youth or in the adult, please raise your hand. If you say no, it doesn't happen in your games, then leave your hands down. Let's see how many hands we get. All right. Oh, there the hands. The hands are going. The hands are going. Absolutely right. And it's not every game necessarily, but it does happen. And for many reasons, right? Maybe it's a tactical thing. Maybe it's a delay thing because of the score, which again, it's tactical as well. But the reason why they do it, we're not concerned. We're most concerned of preventing it and minimizing it and getting the game started. Again, managing the match tempo. That's our concern. We don't really mind, or we don't really are interested in why, right? Because we're never going to find out the truth, right? They have their own reasons. Sometimes it may be simply because they don't know. So we might have to teach if they're the younger age groups. But here it is for everybody, okay? So again, feel free to either write notes, feel free to take a screenshot. But here, first thing to remember for delaying substitutions, a team taking too long, the players taking too long to specifically come off the field. So now they're allowed 10 seconds to leave the field, whether it's one substitute or a player that is being substituted or more than one. They all together have 10 seconds to do so. Again, don't make this a surprise. Don't make this as a controversy. Don't make this as I gotcha. Remind coaches briefly, remind players as the first sub is being done. Try to manage it, what number is coming out or whatever the case, so that we're not, because remember, the first substitution most likely is not going to be to delay, is most likely going to be as a tactical, because they're going to explore different approach, or they're being, their defender, maybe they need some new strategy in the defense or new strategy in the offense or attacking, whatever the case, okay? If they do take more than 10 seconds after you've already done the best to facilitate, to remind, to ask to jog, what have you, and they're saying no, they chose not to. Okay, don't stress. Don't, you raise your voice. No, no, no. Stay calm, stay collected, stay respectful, stay professional. Their substitute player will leave, right? But the substitute will not come in, right? The substituted player will leave, but the substitute that's replacing that player will not come on. Okay? They will come on after 1 minute until the first stoppage, whether it is free kick, throw in, goal kick, whatever stoppage in the game. But 1 minute has passed, then the substitute can come in. So they're going to play short for at least a minute. Okay? If they say, no, 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 we want to cancel the substitution. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Nope, it already happened. We've already gave you more than 10 seconds. We did the best we could as referee team to facilitate. You chose not to, then, you're playing short for a small period of time. Now, this is just a normal substitution. When it's injury, right? It's a different thing, or security concern, etc. That this doesn't apply. Okay, so that's a little bit different. All right, let's take a look at the procedure. Okay, so we don't have a video example, but nonetheless, I think substitutions are fairly straightforward. We know what's happening. We know what the procedure is typically. I've seen some of you not apply the substitution procedure. I'm just saying, okay? In both youth and adult games, by the way. So anyway, so yeah, 10 seconds to begin. We don't have boards, obviously, but when you signal, right? Because the substitute is a halfway line, right? And the ball is stopped, and it's a time where substitute is allowed. That means they're ready to go. They've requested the substitution. So when you say to the throwing or player or the goal kick, you say to them, hold the kick, hold on, hold that kick, hold the throw, hold on. And then you turn and point to the halfway line and say, okay, when you're ready, continue the sub, right? Remember, the substitute doesn't come in right away. They have to wait until the substituted player leaves the field, and then they come in. So they have 10 seconds. The player leaving has 10 seconds. Since you say, go ahead, right? Start the process. Okay, so then they leave. Be careful here in the youth environment. I think it's best and safer to go to their bench, to go to their touchline, even though they could leave, technically speaking, anywhere, right? And it's probably quicker sometimes on the parent side, but be careful, because what if it's the parents from the opposing team? You never know. These are minors, so safest is to go take them to the bench area, their own bench, for minors, for youth environment. In adults, a little bit different. You might say, no, 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 the nearest boundary line, which could be goal line or touch line. Okay, make sure you distinguish between those two environments. Okay, and as I mentioned before, it could be one or more than one. They all have 10 seconds. It's not like each one is 10 seconds. Imagine that. Then you're going to have a lot longer substitution procedure. Okay. Um, I, I know you're reading this and you have questions. I strongly advise that until that player that's being substituted leaves, and if they took longer, then their teammate is not coming on, but don't start until whoever is supposed to leave leaves, to avoid confusion or having an extra player, etc. Okay. All right. If they take, again, more than 10 seconds, make sure that they're playing short for that substitute, at least 1 minute until the next stoppage. Not substitution opportunity, right? Because in some leagues, you can only sub in the throw-ins or goal kicks. No, no, no. If you call a free kick, that's a stoppage. And if 1 minute has already passed, then that other player can come on. Okay? And substitutions cannot be canceled. The outgoing player, if there is no re-entry, right? Then, of course, that substitute is no longer able to come on. But typically, in the youth environment, even amateur, but be careful, check those rules of competition. They allowed either multiple reentry, unlimited, or a single one in the second half, etc. Review those substitution procedures for this last bullet point. All right.
Pedro, do you have time
Let's
for a quick
see if we
question, or do you
have.
want to get going?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Who's sharing with us?
This is Ben.
Yes, Ben.
Very quickly. So,
Yep.
what do you advise at the youth level? Do you still advise allowing the substitute to run on the field before the player has left the field, or are we going to switch now to the player on the field has to leave the field before we're going to allow the substitute on? Are we going to switch to that now, you think, or should we do what we've always done and just allow them to kind of exchange on the fly?
The correct procedure is to wait. The substitute that's coming in must wait until the substituted player, the player who's being substituted, leaves the field. I know in practice we're not doing that for some reason, right? Is that what you're asking, Ben?
Yeah, because tournaments and stuff, when I used to watch youth games, mentor youth games, it's almost always seems that they don't follow the procedure. They just allow the substitute to run on the field at the same time the player's leaving the field. Sometimes they exchange a jersey or something. But it seems like this is now pretty clear where we don't beckon the substitute on until the player has left within that 10 seconds, and we shouldn't really lose a ton of time.
Right, right. So yeah, technically speaking, don't allow the player coming in until their teammate leaves. This teammate that's leaving has 10 seconds to leave. If they do it within that time, then that player, the substitute can come on, no problem. We wait for him or her to get their position. Don't restart right away because what if this is a defender or an attacker for that matter, but you say restart and they're out of position. That's another thing that we forget as referees in the youth and the adult environment. So allow them time to come in to take their place, then you can signal the restart. Okay? Maybe in some tournaments where they're shorter halves, we don't have to be as strict, but we still have to have that player who's coming off get close to the touchline, and maybe okay, you allow the substitute to come on as the other player is leaving. Okay, that's fine, and it's understandable. That's why I say review the loss in competition, review with the assigners if they have information to make those adjustments. Okay. And I know we have a few more questions, but in the interest of time, we're going to just quickly move over because I don't want to keep everybody too long. And then let's look at that exception that we talk about. And this is the last point of tonight, by the way. What if we have an extended injury? The verbiage sometimes for US soccer, they use feigned injury. So somebody's not really injured, but they're trying to waste time. Again, don't worry about if it's real or not. If it looks like it, then err on the safety side. Okay? But this is what's going to help us, whether it is true or not. This is what's going to help us because they have, if they need treatment, then they have to come off and play, short. If you stop the game, that means that you thought it was serious. So they have to leave, regardless if the trainer comes on or not, because you stopped it, you thought it was serious, they have to go. So that's why if you don't think it's that serious, you can allow game to continue, the ball goes out, and then you go check and they get up and everybody's okay, then no good, we don't have to use this. But if somebody's down on the ground and you don't know what happened and they're not moving, then maybe that's serious, so you stop, right? So they'll have to leave, okay? And they'll have to remain 1 minute, right, outside after the restart, okay? Um, and then if the play is going on, this minute happens, they can come in from the touchline, or if 1 minute happens and we have a goal kick, for example, they can come in from any boundary line because the ball is not in play. Okay? But always be aware of when they're coming on, and you tell them to come on. Not because you're going to be strict about it necessarily, but because what if they come on and play goes there? Then that's not a fair situation, right? Because they were not supposed to be on. So don't let him on as play is there because then, you know, the other team didn't have that one player coming on. So you really should let them on when play is away, right? So that they can come on and then we're good. So we don't cause any issues, controversies, etc. And then real quick, here as before, the steps, right? Well, not that step, not the procedure necessarily. This is the exceptions where we could have extended injuries and we don't have to have this person out for 1 minute. And this is in the laws, right? And this is not really new, but just for clarification. If the goalkeeper is injured and it takes longer, we don't have to have them leave, right? But what we can do, we can add the time. Remember to manage how much and record how much time they took, because then you're going to have to add that for that period, first half, second half, right? So it's okay. We will allow the time lost for this. The other one is goalkeeper and outfielder of the same team. They need extra time. Okay, we're going to add the time. Two players of the same team, we add the time. All right. Head injury, we take the time, as much time as needed for that person to safely be removed, right? As well as in these other things, suspected concussion, but we add the time. And then these other exceptions, remember, they're in the laws, but if you want to take a screenshot, you're more than welcome. Um, and here they are. Okay, so let's do some Q&A real quick. I know we are close to out of time, and then as we do that, and before we do the summary, I also want uh, our participants to take this little QR code. You can start doing that real quick. We're gonna take a question, maybe two questions, and then we're gonna summarize, and then I'll let you go. Already 1 minute past, my apologies. So, do we have a question on our topic today? Mazin, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go ahead and what's your question?
Okay. So one of my question is like, whenever the team they purposefully delay past the 10 seconds, and then does when they want to do the sub in, does it have to be so it's obviously the minimum is 1 minute, but there has to be a stoppage in play for that sub to come on, or is it once they reach the 1 minute, they're allowed? Or I mean, I think it maybe depends with like the youth, children, maybe that's okay, but like more like the adult or like the more mature, maybe.
So if it's U12 and above,
Uh-huh.
and they did not leave after you helped as much as you could, they did not leave within the 10 seconds because they were delaying,
Mm-hmm.
then they will play short for
Mm-hmm.
1 minute. Whoever
Mm-hmm.
was going to sub them will stay at the halfway line waiting to be beckoned on. And you tell them, you remind them, hey, I'm going to tell you when you can come in. And
Mm-hmm.
then you're going to have to check 1 minute goes by.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as play is not there where they're going to come in, then
Mm-hmm.
you can let them in. Does that
Okay.
help?
Yeah, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, cool. Christian, one last question, and then we could summarize, and then I can stay a little longer if you like, but I want everybody else to take some time here. Christian, what's your question?
Regarding the substitution rule for the lower age groups, we usually have subs on the fly. Will this rule apply? And if it does, how do we apply it?
Fantastic. If you are working a league where it's clearly written in their rules of competition about how they do the subs, right? Then follow that procedure. Subs on the fly is not something that happens for sure U12 and above affiliated leagues, but double check. Okay. Now, if somebody's doing sub on the flies, but they're still taking too long, then some of this strategy here, but make sure they know what's going to happen. Don't make it a surprise. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so everybody, let's go ahead and recap. And one way you can remember some of this information is by using this acronym. Remember we talked about the match of the tempo? Well, you're gonna help pace the match of the tempo. I like this from US Soccer. And the P stands for the prompt restart. So remember, throw-ins and goal kicks, you now have the 5-second countdown. You're still going to manage the clock. You're still going to add time when needed, right? But the main thing is to keep the game going, more flow in this game. A in PACE stands for accelerated substitutions, right? So we want substitutions not to take too long and for teams not to take, too much advantage of that. And so players must leave within that 10-second limit, right? And you can allow them to come in either if play is going on by the touchline, but remember, make sure they're not near play. Or if play is stopped and already happened in a minute, pass by, then they can come on from the goal line or the touchline. You'll see more likely touchline. The C in PACE stands for clear injuries. So again, if it's serious injury, then it's going to take as long as possible. If you thought it was serious and you don't know, but you stopped the game for that, they have to come out. Okay, so keep that in mind. But the treatment, as much as possible, remember not head injury or nothing serious, then we can be done outside. So that way the game keeps going. Okay, but player safety is paramount. And then lastly, now the laws give you some guidance and everybody else can read them and you have options to implement. Make sure they are clear, make sure that there's no doubt, so that way you don't create confusion or add you know unclarity or not clarity. Sorry. Okay, and then whenever you have to award the corner kick, award the throw in for the other team, or maybe they're gonna play short for 1 minute. Okay. And with that in mind, thank you once again, everybody, for sharing. Please take maybe 2 or 3 minutes to give us some feedback on today. Enjoy the rest of the night. I will stay here a little longer for those of you who have a few questions and then we wish to talk. But the rest of you, thank you so much. And we'll see you next time. We appreciate you. Stay safe out there and be kind to each other.
Thanks, Pedro.
Thanks all.